So there's obviously a lot on the line tomorrow night in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. But I think that if the Florida Panthers lose Game 7, Paul Maurice will not be back as the head coach of the Florida Panthers. Because if you remember back to 2 seasons ago, Paul Maurice stepped down as the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets in the middle of the 2021-22 season because he felt that they needed a different voice in the room and that he had lost passion for coaching. And if the Florida Panthers end up on the wrong side of a reverse sweep in the Stanley Cup Final, just 1 year after being demolished in 5 games in the Stanley Cup Final, I don't think there's going to be a lot of passion left. So I could see Paul Maurice stepping down once again. And even if Paul Maurice doesn't step down as the head coach of the Panthers, it wouldn't surprise me if Bill Zito made the tough decision to fire him anyways. And I know that on paper this seems unthinkable, because why would you fire the head coach of a team that's been to the Stanley Cup Final 2 years in a row? But you have to remember, this is the NHL we're talking about. This is the league where you can win the Jack Adams Award as Coach of the Year one season, but then be fired the next season. It's also the league where Marty St. Louis, who was just hired in 2022, is already the 6th longest tenured head coach. Coaching changes happen all the time in the NHL. And the Florida Panthers themselves have already made it clear that if they feel like a coach isn't the right guy to take them all the way to their ultimate goal of winning the Stanley Cup, that they will replace that guy with someone who is capable of taking them to the cup. I mean, just look at what happened to Andrew Brunette 2 seasons ago. He took over as interim head coach of the Florida Panthers just 7 games into the season, and the team went on to have their best season since 1996. The team won the President's Trophy, and they won a playoff round, but after being swept in the second round by their rivals, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the team replaced Brunette with Paul Maurice, who they felt could take them to their ultimate goal of winning the Stanley Cup. And if the Florida Panthers are unable to close out the Stanley Cup Final, where they had a 3-0 series lead, it would not surprise me to see the Florida Panthers replace Paul Maurice with another coach who they feel like can take them to their ultimate goal of winning the Stanley Cup. But as always, leave a like, drop a follow on the Armchair Athletes, and let me know in the comments whether you think that Paul Maurice would be back as the head coach of the Florida Panthers if they lose Game 7.
Wow, get the though. I don't bluff, bro. Aiming at your head.